Hey guys, it's boy Kairos. Today, we're going to be talking about Arms Warrior. This is the definitive guide for Arms and DragonFlight 10.0. I know some people are saying Arms is garbage, and that could be further from the truth. We've got warriors like Mud saying it's completely unplayable, whatever. I'm here to bring you the truth, the holiness of Arms Warrior today. So, to get into this, we have basically two builds that work out. A single target build, which is the bleed build, which I covered. I have built a little more onto that build. I will have some burst macros in the descriptions, basically some cast sequence macros for both. And even the the single target one's pretty basic. You don't even really need a cast macro for that. But for the Bladestorm one, you kind of do. You either need two macros or one cast sequence macro. I will have to make that macro, test it out, and I will put it down in the description down below. But to get into this build, well, this build is ridiculous. So basically, there's a few talents where this is going to lock people down. They're not going to be able to escape. You're going to destroy cleaves, and if you can play with a Frost DK, you're going to slaughter everything. So, I don't want to go over the entire tree over again, but basically, I'm going to show you a few talents that define this build. And I will put this down in the description for you guys, so you guys can just copy and paste, put it into your own talent loadout, and save it. You basically have, your basic warrior utility. This is interchangeable with Shattering Throw. This either it changes or you can go into something else. But basically, Spear and Avatar are going to synergize so well together because Avatar is going to give you Bladestorm. And with that Bladestorm, you are going to have two Mortal Strikes fly out with Sweeping Strikes. Every Mortal Strike that is cast during that Bladestorm. The thing that makes this build so ridiculous is the simple fact that reduced effectiveness on Bladestorm, is going to cast two Mortal Strikes, and that duration is super short in the time that you can throw that spear down and get your burst out. So basically, this is defined by Blademaster's Torment, Elysian Might. It's going to, the crit that you get, the crit damage that you deal is going to be increased. You could almost actually spec out of this, but the duration is going to help because you are going to follow with two Bladestorms. This build is nuts. But this is where this is defined. Bladestorm or Blademaster's Torment casting Avatar, or Bladestorm cast the other at reduced effectiveness. Of course, you can go with Warlord's Torment with this build as well to try and get that huge crit and end out the game on something very, very squishy like a Feral Druid if they're caught in a stun, or another TSG team, Ret War, Frost DK. This build is so nuts. This build can work, I think, into almost any comp depending on what comp you're playing. If you're playing with a DK, especially a Frost Death Knight, this is gonna work beautifully. But to get into this, basically, Blademaster's Torment, you can pair it up with Executioner's Precision. You can basically set up your burst with a go and coordinate with your Death Knight to get the Blind Sleep, the AoE stun, and if they're running Death Chill, the route that follows. Or you can play with the DH. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Bladestorm itself actually does hit very, very hard. I know the tools tip only says starting 2,000, but once you apply for mastery, versatility, all the other damage multipliers that you're going to have, Bladestorm can actually crit for about 30k. And I don't have full gear either. As you can see, 391. Full gear is 411 for the honor gear anyway. So basically, you're going to here's what I kind of registered with this was you're gonna have sharpened blade up. You know, you're gonna go through your normal rotation. You're gonna make sure you have your bleeds up. You get a oh wow. So we're gonna get 2 back-to-back everything that we kind of need. This is gonna be ridiculous, but here's what I found. You're gonna Colossus Smash. You're gonna Legion Might. Oh, wrong button. And then you're gonna Bladestorm. You got a proc. We're gonna Bladestorm again. It comes out. And we just did over 800k. We had a normal hit of Mortal Strike hit for 90,000 damage. That is ridiculous. But basically, the executes are going to give you a little more sustain. If you get procs off, this build is so ridiculous, dude. It blows my mind. I will have some footage for you guys, kind of showing you what this build can do. Of course, having the 2, Bladestorms, of course, getting the Elysian Might out first. I'm actually going to remove that from my board because I'm used to Spear on Shift 6. But basically, yeah, I mean, this build is disgusting in every way, shape, and form. Got Bladestorm back up. Even it hitting, 50k on 2 targets is gross. And you're always going to have Sweeping Strike. So there's that. Unhinged, Bladestorm, any arms warrior build, even Fury, you're always going to run into Avatar. The talents below it are just too good. And that's kind of the arms warrior kind of Bladestorm AoE build that I found. Of course, you don't need Spear. You can run Shockwave. You could even run Thunderous Roar, but it doesn't really work with this build because you're not trying to bleed everybody out and use Skull Splitter and Bloodletting. You can use Shockwave to peel. You can use it to stop casts. You can use it with Frost DK. You don't necessarily need the Spear. It just helps you land the double Bladestorm, and it helps you get a total of 8 Mortal Strikes out, 4 for each target with Sweeping Strikes out, which is a little ridiculous, to say the very least. So there is the Mortal Strike Unhinged build. Mortal Strike is still hitting like a goddamn train, even in PvP. I've hit people well over 100k with Mortal Strike with some lucky crits. I would say for Warriors, crit's too good right now. Especially since you have something called, Seasoned Soldier. Their auto attack, critical strikes generate 10% more rage. And damage taken from effect, reduced effect. Oh, I didn't know that one. They must have added that. But, yeah. Basically a mini Rogue Feint, but on a warrior. That's interesting. And there's just little changes like that. But there's the Unhinged build. So basically for the Bleed build, there's not going to be a lot that changes. Basically, you're just going to back off all this. And you're basically going to go over here. You're going to pick these talents. This is nerfed horribly in PvP. I wouldn't even bother with that. Frankly, it's not very good. You can run Fueled by Violence for some more sustain. You're going to drop Spear, and then you're going to go into Thunderous Roar. So basically with this, you're going to have a burst go every 30 seconds. You're going to have, the reason I say 30 seconds definitively is you have Bolt and you have Sharpen together. Uproar and Thunderous Words. Thunderous Words increases Thunderous Words bleed effect by 2 seconds and increases the damage of all your bleeds by 15%. We are running a bleed build with this, which is really kind of disgusting given the situation with Warlord's Torment. We're going to run Warlord's Torment with this every time, guys. Every damn game that we can run this, we are going to run it. So basically, with this build's pretty, I would say this build's a lot easier to get off. This is probably, if you don't want to run Unhinged, you don't want to actually miss your spear. Spear's a 1.5-minute cooldown now instead of the 1. And if you hit, I think it was 5 targets, it took 3 seconds off or whatever it was. In Shadowlands, you have that option. And with this, it's just more straightforward. You have more sustain, it feels like, with this build. And given the situation with DragonFlight, you need a lot of sustain damage, and having the burst is going to be nuts. So, no matter how you look at it, I feel like this with Dragon Roar is going to be better. The unfortunate thing about, or Thunderous Roar rather, is on Fury, the cooldown's only reduced by 15 instead of 30 on arms. But for arms, it still works. So basically, with this build, you're gonna slow your target. You're gonna get into your spot. You're gonna pre-rend. You make sure you have your sharpen. You're gonna pop everything off, and we've already done 400,000 damage, and we have our bleeds back up on the target. Skull Splitter gives your rage back. We almost have all of what we need back. We're going to be bursting again very shortly, and we have Sharpen Blade coming back up. So basically with this build, it's just about keeping your pressure up as much as possible. With this build, you also tend to get Mortal Strikes that proc for you. So not only are you Mortal Striking more, of course I'm unlucky, I don't tend to get them very much. Oh, we got one. Can we get another one? Nope. But basically, Colossus Smash. Make sure you save your Mortal Strike for coming back, hit them back in the head to keep your bleeds up so you have the increased damage. Keep your rend up as much as possible. It doesn't hurt to refresh rend and then use Skull Splitter, because rend is actually a very huge part of your damage when you use it. So, I mean, they're not huge numbers, but given the situation, you can see where this gets out of control very quickly and becomes unhealable damn. But I would say for Warrior, always stack crit, even Fury. Even Fury. I know that sounds nuts, and a lot of people are like, how does that work? You get 23% haste from Frenzy and Enrage. Then you get 20 from Wild Strikes. You get 15 from Berserker, and you get another 5 from Wild Strikes. Or Furious Blows, or whatever. But, one last thing. Warbreaker, or not Warbreaker, but Warbringer, the charge talent for anything that is mobile, is going to be necessary. But I will have some videos after this. Not after this video, but after I'm done talking with you guys here. So basically, we're basically done. I showed you the 2 builds for arms that are working. And you guys will see some arenas of me and my buddy absolutely smashing it in skirmishes in the arena. I think altogether we queued probably about 3 to 4 hours and probably lost about maybe 5 to 7 games. All the rest, we basically slaughtered everything. I was Fury. He was a Windwalker Monk. I played Arms just to see, because I heard everybody was, oh, Arms is so bad. I'm like, let's give that a try. I tested it. Here we are. I'm making you guys a guide on it, and it is incredible what this spec can do. But anyway, guys, I will have that description down below for the talent loadout, the burst macro for the Unhinged build, and probably some kind of updated cast sequence macro for both, so you guys aren't having to use 2 macros for the Unhinged build. and it will break down how you should go through that rotation, and I will have a cast sequence macro. Give me some time to make it. Cast sequence macros are kind of hit or miss. You kind of have to play with them to get them to work. I'm not the best at them. But anyway, guys, I'm going to have some music come on here in a second and some footage. And you guys have a good one and enjoy.